I graduated in '88 too, I just want you to know that. I'm no Mike Haney or Ben Weber, but my name is Craig Carney, and I haven't been in this auditorium since my senior year in 1988, when my fellow Beakies and I came in second place in the first annual lip sync battle of Putting on the Hits by singing Elvira in tights and tie-dye t-shirts. But needless to say, that is not going to get us in the Knights of Honor. But it did cap a childhood for me that was at times unbearable. And I want to tell you about it because I think it epitomizes everything that Dr. Barry Chasen strived to do in his career. And I'm going to apologize ahead of time if I cry, because since I became a father, that's all I seem to do. My dad died when I was just 4 years old, and my mom remarried an alcoholic 8 years later. Two of my older brothers were constantly in and out of jail for drugs and just caused loads of stress for my mother and the rest of the family. To cap off those wonderful late 80s, my house burned down and one of my brothers committed suicide. But it wasn't all bad. One of the luckiest things that ever happened in 4th grade when I met Mark Chasen. Our friendship grew quickly, and the love that I felt for and from his family grew even quicker. I would often sit around and chat with Doc about my life, and he would just listen. He was so good at listening. He gave advice when he felt like he should. He guided me when he felt like he needed to, and he always loved me like a son. It was casual at first, until my brother committed suicide 2 weeks into my senior year. Then I visited him on a consistent basis during school. I didn't seek him out, he came to me. He was concerned, and I truly believe that he is the one person that kept me grounded enough to not give up on myself or on my life. So I imagine that this is exactly how most people felt who sought out help from him, who sought out advice from him. And he just had a way about him that made your life feel better. He made you feel like you were important enough. He had an infectious smile and that laugh. Oh my goodness, that laugh. It just brought comfort to you, and you didn't even realize it at the time. If you had the pleasure of knowing him, you know exactly what I'm talking about. I don't have to tell you his accomplishments. They are well known and well documented. I'm here as an example of the impact he made on people just by being him. I could have made a lot of really bad decisions in my life, and believe me, I made a few. But I was the first child in my family to go to college. I've been teaching for almost 20 years now, and not to brag, but I'm a hell of a father because of the example that I saw from him. It's the only one I had. And that was mainly because of the encouragement that I constantly received from Doc and his wife, Carol. They believed in me, they always believed in me and encouraged me to be better than my circumstances, and they still believe in me today. And I think that is what Doc did better than anything. He just made you believe in yourself. He counseled countless numbers of students and encouraged them, led them into better lives, and showed them avenues to deal with any issues they were having. And that, to me, is worth this honor that he receives tonight. So it is one of my great pleasures to present to you the family of Dr. Barry Chasen, his wife Carol, his children Mark and Jill, and his grandchildren Josh, Scott, and Ray.
Craig is like a son to us. He is a son in so many ways, and we love him. So thank you, Craig, for that. It was beautiful. Okay. Thank you for recognizing my Barry and bestowing this honor on him. If he were here, he would be beaming with pride. He would probably giggle as he would share stories about silly experiences with his colleagues who were also friends, and acknowledge the significance they played in his career as a school psychologist. Or he would tell a bad joke and laugh because he always thought his jokes were funny, even if no one else did. And he would laugh enough that you'd start to laugh at his laughing. Barry loved life. He loved his family, his friends, his synagogue, his life at North Penn, golfing and eating. He appreciated each day. Barry loved being a school psychologist in North Penn. He truly loved working with the many students. He cared deeply about them, enjoyed talking, listening, supporting, guiding, and laughing with them. Barry often said that he had the most wonderful life. He loved going to work, being with his colleagues and the students, and then at the end of the day, coming home. I would like to quote Barry's words from his interview in the night prior in June 2004 when he was about to retire. Quote, "There are things I want to do while I have my health. I've had a wonderful career, and I wouldn't do a thing differently. Satisfaction is from what you do and who you deal with rather than what you paid. And so I thank each one of you for giving my Barry such a happy, fulfilling life."
For those who have been to our home, Mom and Dad's, on North Wales Road, as you would walk downstairs to our dad's office, you would see a prominent display of his hats on the wall. And in a way, it really exemplifies him as a person, someone who truly wore many hats and loved wearing each. From the father hat, loving husband hat, dedicated psychologist, brother, uncle, devoted friend, active Jewish congregant, pop-up hat. The list really goes on and on. But Jill and I are going to try to focus on expressing our gratitude on our father's behalf, the family man and the community man.
My daddy is being honored today for who he was to the North Penn community. But he would not be the man known by many were he not the man that he was to his family. There is a Jewish saying that tzedakah begins in the home. This basically means that we should take care of the people in our home before tending to the needs of others. Barry Chasen took care of all of us. He was the daddy there to bestow hugs and kisses, to ease a saddened heart or celebrated joy. He was the parent that set the expectation for active participation in education and civic mindedness. He was the cheerleader at all my brother's games. No surprise here that athlete was never a word to describe me, but he was there to cheer me on when girl drama felt crippling, or to remind me that I could, when all I wanted to say was I can't. And then when retirement called his name and his children were grown, he channeled all that parent love to not just us, but to our kids, Josh, Scott, and Rhea. And as a husband, well, words fall short to describe what he was to my mom. He was a partner, a friend, a champion, a protector, listener, and a rock. Mark and I felt so important walking through these halls because we were Barry Chasen's kids. I loved him sending me roses, whoopie pies, candygrams, and more. I think most teenagers would be either embarrassed or indifferent about going to school where their dad worked. But we were proud, we loved it. That's not a comment about our character at all. It's really just one illustration in the picture book of my daddy's beautiful story.
And as that story continues, if the committee were to provide other things like sweatshirts or hats in addition to this beautiful plaque, without a doubt, our dad, Barry, would not only be thrilled as he'd be having this new Knight of Honor hat to add to his collection, but he surely would be beaming wearing his hat to every football game while calling out and greeting his fellow former current faculty and friends. So walking past the bleachers coming up, that's who he was. And you know, on a separate note, I mean, I'll say having a father as a high school psychologist, it did actually brought in a social circle for me in North Penn, as the students weren't really in my immediate circle, like Craig and Ronnie. They're kids that were often like in the courtyard smoking cigarettes after lunch. They'd go out of their way to tell me things like, hey, tell Doc we say hi, send our regards. And it just, as an anecdotal, that group seemed to began to accept me. So as much as Dad loved the students and being part of that North Penn community, he loved being part of the Jewish community at Congregation Beth Thor through his continued activism and volunteering. And there's his pursuit of tikkun ha'olam, Jewish saying, which is translated from Hebrew to English, is repairing the world. His mission was truly and tireless. He loved life, he loved people. Through both his professional and private life, Dad really tried to leave the world and those around him better than what he found them. Whether it was volunteering with Beth Thor Brotherhood, driving fellow cancer patients to doctor's appointments, or simply offering smiles and encouragement to fellow golfers on the course, he did so without pause, as the community that he loved and the family he cherished were rarely mutually exclusive. And this truly is an honor tonight within which he would just relish and wallow in it, more than words can possibly say. And it is truly a privilege to accept this honor and on his behalf. And in closing, I mean, our dad, husband, Pop, he always had a saying, which was, find something you love that merits your love, and the rest will be easy. So, to the many people in this room tonight, thanks for making his life so easy.
Thank you for making his life a blessing.
This reads, North Penn Knights of Honor, 2017, Barry Chasen, EDD, for making a significant contribution to the North Penn School District, the community, and his chosen career.